General quarters, all hands man your battle stations.
Broadcasting live on WNN 1470 AM, 95.3 FM, iHeartRadio, and the World Wide Web. This is Make America Think Again with your Google Blacklisted host, Tom Trento.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. No, Will Robinson. Danger.
All right, good morning, everybody. On the 18th of December, Tom Trento, your host on WNN 1470, and I got a couple of people in the control room. We got J. Mark there for sure.
Hello.
And we got Gold, Susie Gold.
Good morning.
Hey, what's happening?
Hey, how are you today?
Good. Look, what we do here for all the people just tuning in as you're driving around or in your home or wherever you are, we got a pretty heady show. We try to make America think again. The United West has a bunch of smart people, all of that. But every once in a while, we share dumb jokes with our audience. And I have one or two dumb jokes, kind of in the Christmas environs.
Okay.
So I'll ask Susie Gold first. What did the third wise man say?
What did the third wise man say? No idea. No idea.
Well, there were three wise men when Jesus' birth, all of that. What did the third wise man say?
Don't know.
He said, but wait, there's myrrh.
That's pretty bad.
That goes in the dumb joke.
I thought that was something I was supposed
Christmas
to
is
know.
Christmas.
And I have a second dumb joke to take the show to new low levels.
New low levels.
This one is for you, Mark. Why does the Christmas alphabet have only 25 letters?
I don't know. Why?
Noel.
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 This is getting bad.
Okay.
Yeah. The person who gave us that, we let's avoid.
Name anonymous.
We'll remain anonymous, and let's avoid receiving jokes from that person in the future. All right, let's get to a very important look. We are aggravated here. We have, what do you say?
Challenge accepted.
We have righteous indignation. When you're indignant, you're upset, you're angry, you're heated. And that could be very, very bad. But if it's righteous, if it's focused properly on a moral basis, then that's a good thing. Righteous indignation is a good thing. Every patriotic American, indeed every one of the 63 million people that voted for Donald J. Trump, should be righteously indignant at what's taking place today in Washington, D.C. Let's go listen to the nonsense for about a minute.
Over the interests of America. Then he tried to cover up his scandalous behavior, and he obstructed the investigation. He violated his oath of office.
Can we please stop
I intend to uphold mine to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America.
Now listen to who is this?
The president must be impeached.
A Democrat. Oh, I'll give you two clues. Republican or Democrat?
Yeah, well.
Gentleman from Oklahoma.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I continue to reserve my time.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Massachusetts.
I ask unanimous consent to insert into the record a December 5th.
They're going to be doing this all day. It's going to go all tonight.
Yeah, I just want to hear what he says. He's one of the leaders. What's his name
And
there?
I ask unanimous consent to insert into the record a December 11th USA Today editorial entitled Impeach President Trump. The president's Ukraine shakedown and stonewalling are too serious
we're done with this.
for the House to
No, wait a minute.
Without objection.
At this point, I'd like to yield 1 minute to the gentlewoman from Florida, Ms. Wasserman Schultz.
Oh,
it's
my
DWS.
word.
Hold on. DWS.
We are lucky today.
Madam Speaker, throughout this process, I listened as a member of the House Oversight Committee to career diplomats testify and found myself contemplating the gravity of this
Somebody
decision.
have a mop clean
One
up
of my daughters
on
asked me
Trento's
how I
desk.
make my decision about impeachment. I told her that when her future children learn about President Trump's impeachment, they may ask, Mommy, what did Grandma do? I want my daughter to be able to tell her children.
This is the lady
Grandma
that
did the right
has
thing
the
because
hard
in
drive
America,
from
no one is
the
above the
Muslim
law.
Yeah.
With his conduct around
assistant
Ukraine,
to cook the
President Trump
hard
corruptly
drives, and she got
abused
thrown
his
out of
power
the
for his own interests
she got thrown out of the
and
Democrat
DNC.
National Convention
and
leadership.
our Constitution. This president put his interests before those of this nation. Left unchecked, he'd do it again, and had said so. The actions
And
and
this is
ongoing
your
schemes that
representative.
led us to this moment are severe.
All right, that's
threats to our
Debbie
national
Wasserman
security and
Schultz,
democracy
Democrat
that we cannot
congresswoman from
I'm done with it.
a highly Democrat district in Broward County, that's Fort Lauderdale area. She's a sold-out hack, an ideological hack. But here's the big idea for today. I like to have a big idea for every show, something you can grab hold of and say, hey, learn something today. Very important to learn things, and we teach things here. We're righteously indignant because Debbie Wasserman Schultz just took a tiny snapshot of Donald Trump's 3 years of being the president every single day. Picture Gulliver's Travels and the Lilliputians were trying to tie him up and do all this stuff and get all over him. And if Gulliver kept going and going, they finally got him on the ground. Trump has been trying to do the right thing for his country. His salary is $400,000. That's how much the president gets. He took his salary, he donates it he put it back into the federal budget, basically. He has lost money in his businesses. Everything he's done has been from
He donates his entire salary, his entire presidential salary.
Yeah, he stuck it back he doesn't take it. He stuck it back into the federal budget for certain departments to help them out. He's a billionaire. Yeah. Well, $400,000 is a lot of scratch, billionaire or not. He could take his money. It's his money. He chose not to. He has done everything. All his life. Look at all his life. He's been paid. He fought Palm Beach, where the Mar-a-Lago is, his building in Palm Beach. He fought that village. It's a little village on the ocean because he wanted a gigantic communist flag. Oh, no, wait. That's Bernie Sanders. Excuse me. Who had his honeymoon in Cuba, and he had a Soviet flag down. Oh, no, wait. That's John Brennan, who was a communist in college, who became the head of the CIA, such a hack. It was an American flag that Donald Trump fought to have flying, a big flag. He didn't want a small flag. He wanted a big flag. He does everything big. This guy's life has been bleeding red, white, and blue. Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the rest of these people took this little tiny snapshot and they cook the books on the snapshot. They spin it in a way to mobilize their soft-headed leftists who have abandoned the basis of how you think and reason. They've abandoned it. This is a party that can look at a man. They can look at a 25-year-old man with muscles, a beard, the whole thing, and the man says, but I'm a girl. And the party says, okay, then you're a girl. And this party has adopted a view that gets rid of anything scientific. They throw science out. They're looking at a man because the man says he's a girl. They go, well, he's got to be a girl. So they abandon science. They abandon biology. They abandon every doctrine of common sense. And you go, okay, well, they're nitwits. The guy's sick and they're nitwits. Then, as a party, they take that new guy's view that he's a girl and say, well, then he needs civil rights. He's got to use a bathroom of his choosing. And laws are written around the country to protect someone who has a mental illness. An illness, they write laws to protect him. Then, beyond that, they try to write federal legislation to have some sort of civil rights in this new class. Then there's now, when you go to a college, used to be male or female, certain colleges have 35 different gender categories, all leftist, Marxist ideology to undermine the Judeo-Christian worldview. Then this party says, well, we got to now indoctrinate children to understand when a man says they're a woman, they're really a woman, to violate everything that relates to common sense and science. It's that party that is impeaching this president. That has to sink in. These people are demented. They have a serious problem. Mark, you keep saying that the impeachment started 18 minutes after the president was elected.
I think like 18 or 19.
It was 19. It was. I'm going to read it this morning. It was 19 minutes. So on this day, you just heard part of the proceedings that go before the actual vote. And most Americans aren't even paying attention to this, but it's really a historic day, the 18th of December. And it's a day that will go down in infamy, like December 7th, 1941, when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. They went after our military capability. Today, the Democrats go after our moral capability, our moral grounds. They've abandoned the doctrines of legal justice because of pure hatred. Rashida Tlaib, the idiot congresswoman from a Muslim district in Michigan, Detroit area, on the night of her election, 2018, remember her son was there at the party and he asked the question about Trump. She says, don't worry to her son. We're going to impeach the mother effer to her son. This is 2018 November. This was their view. This is what they're going to do. And they're going to do it. Is it going to go anywhere in the Senate? No. But we're going to have an impeached president, and we need to rise up. Americans need to rise up. And the United West is going to be leading a movement to bring good American patriots to the forefront to fight this cultural battle. Because these people, after tomorrow, this Democrat leftist Marxist group, they're going to be on a roll. They're going to think that they now control truth, justice, and the American way. It's going to have to be confronted legally, properly, intellectually. No fighting, no guns, no bullets, none of that stuff. That's not how you win these battles. You beat these people in the marketplace of ideas. That's what we do best. That's what we're going to be doing. So we need everybody to buckle up. But here's what we're going to do today. Donald Trump in his brilliance. So look, I don't agree with everything the guy does. I don't agree with everything my friends do. I don't agree with everything I do. Okay, I do stuff. I go, why did I do that? So, but Donald Trump is brilliant in the sense that he sees the world in black and white. And he said, okay, they're impeaching me tomorrow on the 18th. On the 17th, he wrote a 6-page letter that he wanted to get down in the record. And he concludes this 6-page letter. And I'm going to read this letter today. We're going to discuss this letter because I think it's gravely important to get on the record what he says about this. Brilliantly written, and the left, CNN, and all these groups. Oh, by the way, Mark, you ever watch Rachel Maddow?
I try not to. I really try not to, though.
MS-13 NBC, you ever watch that?
I mean, PSNBC?
Yeah. Susie Gold, you ever watch Rachel Maddow?
Never.
I have some relatives that, are hardcore lefties. Oh, she beats Hannity. She's great. She's a superstar. I watched her last night because she had on Lisa Page, Andy McCabe's general counsel, Andy McCabe, deputy director of the FBI in the whole Russiagate nonsense, Russian hoax. She was the attorney that had the affair with Peter Strzok, who was the head of counterterrorism for the FBI. And their texts got exposed, where we need an insurance policy. We're not going to let this guy get in. Well, she had her first public interview, and she did it. Now, this tells you where Lisa Page is at. Lisa Page could have gone to Hannity, Tucker, anybody on Fox, anybody anywhere, and said, I want you to interview me. Any journalist in the world would have interviewed her. She goes to the hardcore leftist crazy station. What does that say about Lisa Page's head, where she is? Crazy stuff.
Well, she wants to be, wants Rachel Maddow to run cover for it. I mean, throw them softball questions. Well, do you feel like that what you did, was for America?
Yeah, those were the softball questions. She threw a couple of rhetorical hardball questions like, but you some of your text said it was an insurance policy. That doesn't sound real good. Can you help everyone understand what you meant? Oh, that was the categorical insurance that if he becomes president, are we going to continue with this? Because we have good evidence that there was Russian all this nonsense. It was sickening, right? But I watched it. And then I did a little research on Rachel Maddow. She, a year and a half ago, she beat Hannity one night. And now she's fallen to 5th place. She's got no viewership, nothing. Right. She's terrible. She isn't that smart. She's supposed to be smart. She's not charismatic at all. She's not an interesting interviewer. And I don't see what the deal is. She's a lesbian, And that's, they hold her up to, she's gay and gay rights and all this stuff. And I don't see the talent there that everyone tells me she has. That's the first time. Maybe I got to watch her another time.
Yeah, well, I've watched her a couple times, and she's nauseating to watch. I mean, she's no facts, nothing. It's all just hyperbolic, as much as hype as you can make about something that's nothing.
Yeah.
It's not just about Trump, about anything.
About anything. Anyway, at 18 minutes after the hour, 18 minutes after whatever hour you may be in Italy, that's 6 hours ahead. What would that be? 17 o'clock? What's that, about 5 o'clock, I guess? Something like that. Yep. Italy's beautiful this time of the year. Not really. It's a little cold over in Italy right now. But in California, it's 8 o'clock in the morning for our good friends out there. And our friends in the Middle East,
they're hot.
Yeah, they're hot. And
what's today like? Hot. What's tomorrow like?
Hot, hotter, hot, and hotter.
Hot.
But here in South Florida, a little windy, little rainy, but just another wonderful day. But Tom Trento, your host.
Living the dream, Tom. Living the dream.
Yeah, we are. Your host, WNN 1470 or 95.3 on the dial. Tell your friends. We're going to start promoting the show. We got all our technical stuff down, so you can actually hear us, right? Susie, you there?
I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. All right, here's what I want to do.
I had her potted down.
All right. No pot in this place. No pot. All right, here's what we're going to do. Today, I'm going to dramatically read the 6-page letter that Donald Trump wrote. But and we're setting a context for the absurdity of this impeachment. The founders and framers of the United States of America, they put into the Constitution, Article 2, Section 4, and a way in which to get rid of an out-of-control leader who was detrimental to the United States. He was harming the United States, and they have illustrations of stealing money or being treasonous. What's that? Or being treasonous, or being an agent for another country. There was a great fear that when we broke away from the crown, from King George, and the colonies went to a federation of states, 13 of them, there was great fear that there would be infiltration and various elected people would be spies for the crown, for Britain. And in fact, it's theoretically possible that one of these people could become the president. So if we find out the president is a Russian agent, is an agent for Britain, we have to have a way of getting rid of him. So this was the background for all of this. But the framers also said, we know that this could become partisan. And the worst thing Kim hears us in Texas. Hi, Kim, how you doing? And the worst thing in the world, the absolute worst thing in the world, would be, the framers wrote in the Federalist Papers, several of them, wrote to have a partisan impeachment because it violates the concept of the sovereign being the people of the United States, the sovereign electing a president. We don't want a group of elected officials, the House of Representatives, very small in 1776, not 435. We don't want these people caballing together and saying, we hate this guy, let's get rid of him, and then cutting a deal with the Senate, let's get rid of him. So they said the worst thing that could happen is if there is a partisan, a party-divided impeachment. And Nancy Pelosi, a year ago when all this stuff started coming up, she went on the record so many times, she's eating her words now. We cannot have a partisan impeachment. There has to be a bipartisan. It has to reflect both sides of the aisle. But guess who put pressure on her? The squad.
The jihad squad.
The jihad squad. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and Anna Presley from Massachusetts. They drove this impeachment, and Nancy, sticking her teeth back in her mouth, said, I got to do something. And she fell in line to do this. And you know, this is not in her heart because she knows she's a political animal. She knows this is destructive. Absolutely destructive. So look.
This is called Twitter politics is what it's called. This is Twitter politics driven by that, driving them and driving Pelosi.
Absolutely. If you've ever been a competitor in any athletic event, whether it's a ball game where there's innings or quarters or a competition, man against man in a boxing ring, you have good rounds and you have bad rounds. You get hit a couple of times. Sometimes you go down, you get back up. Look, this is their day. They're hitting the Republic. They're hitting all of us. When they hit this president, they hit everybody who voted for this president. We're all getting hit today. You need to feel existentially, you need to feel the power of the left hitting and hurting us, those who elected this guy in 11 months. You don't want him, get rid of him. They know they can't get rid of him. They know it's impossible. So they got to do this drip. Adam Schiff today was asked by Dana Bash, what do you want to be remembered by? Oh, I want my grandchildren to remember. This is so solemn and all this baloney. And then she says, what was it? The point I made with you earlier, Mark. She said, you've made reference to Mike Pence knowing more than has been revealed. And I go, oh my God, they're going after Mike Pence.
There it is.
And
they have to.
At some point we may have to look into, because
someone's actually
the record shows that he knows more than that. They're laying the groundwork for impeaching Mike Pence. Now, where are these people going? I mean, if Donald Trump's not being removed from office, everybody can rest. But this is designed to create momentum to offset the moral conservatives in the country.
And here's what we were talking about earlier. This is how whacked they think. They think, well, if we get rid of Trump, then we have to get rid of Pence. Because then we get rid of Pence, then it goes to the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi becomes president.
I know. I mean, it's
it's like you guys cannot think.
It's grasping at
air straws.
At paper straws. It's grasping at paper straws. There's an interesting article in CNN where there's 30 most blistering lines from Donald Trump's unhinged letter. Susie Gold, did you ever write an unhinged letter?
I don't think I ever did. I don't even know what an unhinged
what is
unhinged? What does that mean?
Is that when you hit send and go, oh, man, I shouldn't send that?
What's a hinge? What is it? Here's a lesson in language.
Hinge is on a door. You hold the door, has a hinge, and it rotates back and forth.
Right.
So
if you unhinge one of them, what happens to the door?
It falls off.
It's going all over the place. It's knocking it down. Now, he's unhinged. He's all over the place. He's bouncing here. He's bouncing there. He's bouncing there.
So the letter is bouncing all over the place. Is that what they're trying to say?
What they tried to define Donald Trump as unhinged, off balance, mental illness, all of this. So they make this guy out to be basically some senior citizen in hospice. He's in hospice. But then they go, oh my God, he's the greatest danger to the world. Well, the guy's in hospice, half dead. How's he a danger?
And then he's Hitler.
Then he's Hitler. How's he all of this at the same time?
Then he's Stalin.
And then let's look at national security. Let's look at what he's done for the Middle East. Let's look at what he's done for border security and state sovereignty. Let's look at what he's done for the socialist. He's 2 Supreme Court justices with a third in the future. This is what's driving them crazy. 173 federal. This is what, not that he's unhinged, that he's so focused, he's getting stuff done that no president has been able to do. Oh, man.
You know what this letter needs, Tom, that you're about to read? It needs some nice, relaxing, fire-crackling Christmas music to go along. And you just kind of read the letter with nice, crackly Noel, first Christmas music.
Okay, let me see if I can do that here. Hi, I'm Donald Trump. I'm writing to the Honorable Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House of Representatives. Dear Madam Speaker, I write to express my strongest and most powerful protest against the partisan impeachment crusade being pursued by the Democrats in the House of Representatives. This impeachment represents an unprecedented and unconstitutional abuse of power by Democrat lawmakers, unequaled in nearly 2.5 centuries of American legislative history. I don't know, kind of disjointed. Kind of doesn't go.
No, I like it.
Go ahead,
keep going. I like it. It's working.
Yeah, that kind of.
I like the.
All right, cut the music. Cut the music. I want to share with all of you a little bit here on the Trento show at bottom of the hour, 11:28, WNN 1470. I gotta tell you a couple of things this nitwit wrote. His name is Chris Saliza. Oh, Italian guy. Oh my God. Oh, he's abandoning the faith here. He said he took out the blistering, unhinged comments from Trump. The first one, he says, this impeachment represents what I just read, an unprecedented unconstitutional abuse of power by Democrat lawmakers, unequal. First of all, we gotta praise Donald Trump for using Democrat as opposed to Democratic. Do not call these people Democratic.
That's Danita Kilcullen spreading her message from high above. I guarantee it. I've heard that change, not just one person, but kind of across the spectrum, actually.
Our dear friend Danita, who passed away in 2016, headed up the Tea Party Fort Lauderdale, tremendous Christian woman, tremendous activist. She would smack us in the side of the head if we said, well, they're Democratic Party. Boom!
Boom. Like, what?
They're not Democratic. It's Democrat Party. I learned my lesson after about 3 smacks.
Yeah, I know.
And I never say Democratic Party.
And she physically smacked you.
He wrote in his historic letter, this impeachment represents an unprecedented and unconstitutional abuse of power by Democrat lawmakers unequaled in nearly 2.5 centuries of American legislative history. Now the writer, this Italian guy, goes on to say, so 2 things, really wise guy. 1, impeachment is built into the Constitution, and 2 past presidents have been impeached by the House. 2, it's Democratic lawmakers, not Democrat lawmakers, and away we go, is what he wrote. Then Donald Trump writes, you have cheapened the importance of the very ugly word impeachment. And what's the Gloria Vanderbilt's son is CNN?
Anderson Cooper. He
said, oh, that's redundant. You have cheapened, it's begging the question. You have cheapened the importance of the very ugly word impeachment. If it's a very ugly word, how can it be important? Is what Anderson Cooper's saying. This guy says, like I said, you clearly see Trump's involvement in the letter, saying Trump doesn't know how to write. These are the cheap shots they're taking. I read that, and I think I understand the English language. You have cheapened the importance of the word impeachment. You have cheapened the importance of the word impeachment. It's a very ugly word because of what it does, but it's an important word. Could it be both ugly and important at the same time? Sure, it's a very horrible move to have to do this to somebody, but it's critically important. And they've cheapened that. They've taken this very solemn movement or very solemn article in the Constitution that should be done with all judicious concern and be done with a majority view on both sides, and they've cheapened it because they hate it. That's what he's saying there. And he goes on 30 different things. It's a terrible thing you're doing, Trump speaking, but you will have to live with it, not I. And then the guy says, nothing's ever Trump's fault. Nothing ever. Well, let's get to the letter. I think we need to do that. Susie, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I'm looking forward to hearing more about
look,
the letter.
you're a busy person. You're running all over the place. You're doing great work. What is your feminist view? We need a soft view in here.
We need a soft, feminine view.
As a crazy conservative, what is your takeaway from they're impeaching the president today?
My feminine view of that?
Yes.
Is that in a very
from a woman's point of view, from a woman's
perspective, I don't think it really matters, women or male or female. It's absolute nonsense, no matter whatever way you look at it. It's absolutely absurd. There's nothing, masculine or feminine about it. It's just
there's a masculine view. Can I give you the masculine?
Well, wait a minute. Let me talk to the gold here, Susie. There's there's a line of argument coming out of the Marxist left. Donald Trump's a misogynist. He hates women. He brutalizes women and all this stuff. And our experience in seeing wonderful Republican women, Jews and Christians and others, usually they're beautiful, as this Susie Gold. They're smart, they're educated, they're talented. So do you feel that Donald Trump is like anti-women and you just have to get in line, or I mean, what is your?
Absolutely not.
Yes.
You know what? You have to look at the actions. I think what they do is they just take words and they tear it apart. Just like the people say, well, I don't like how he Twitters. Well, I happen to follow all of his tweets. And, you could tear anything apart that anybody says if that's what your agenda is. And he surrounds himself with women in high positions within the administration. And that speaks louder than all the words they want to tear apart.
You ever been on a construction site, job site in Manhattan, building a 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 story building?
Yeah.
You have?
In New York.
You have? Well, if you have, and if it were a few years
Susie
ago.
Gold's got some more skills than we realize.
I gotta hear that story. If you have, and if you were on any site where Donald Trump was building, and you were there the day he shows up, and you listened to him talking to the Teamsters and the pipers, the pipe fitters, and the laborers and the electricians.
Hello, Joe. How you doing, Joe? No. Joey, how you doing, Joey?
What's going on? This meeting was supposed to be done a week ago. What are you guys doing? Well, my union leader's like, screw your union. Get him over here.
Get him over here right now.
You would go, oh man, he doesn't talk too
Hey,
nice.
do me a favor. Get his butt over here right now.
He doesn't talk very nicely. That was him tweeting 10 years ago on a job site. All he did, the way he talks, he brought to this, which is why 63 million people voted for him. Sometimes his tweets make me cringe a little bit. They make me laugh. But this is the guy. You get the full package. And they hate him so much because of this that they cook the books. They cheat on what you said earlier, so important. You said on what he's done, what he's produced. And we're going to see some of it in this letter. Yeah, Mark, what's up?
Well, and also with Trump, he's from Brooklyn, all right? They always go to like
Queens. He's from Queens, not Brooklyn.
He's from Queens.
Fight over that.
Sorry. He's from Queens. He always has to, and the Brooklyn people and the Queens people and the Jersey, they're all in like competition. Who can be the most bravado and who can be this and this and this. So it's always a competition up there. It's always a competition. Am I right, Tom?
And he gets into the executive, never ran for office,
right.
Never elected for anything. He becomes the president, and boom, the deep state's on top of him immediately. Right. And what does he do? He resorts to what he knows.
He's a street fighter.
I'm a brawler, man. I'm a construction brawler. I got to build. Get out of my way. And that's why they hate him.
And here's one thing the Democrats do not understand what's happening right now, and they're completely clueless. It's like that guy who just keeps poking you in the chest, poke. And we've had enough. Our limit of this poking in the chest thing. They're just going to get smacked. They're going to get smacked down hard. They keep
metaphorically speaking.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They just keep poking, and they're going to. The American people are going to rise up and say, okay, election day, we're going to smack you down.
And we're going to help America rise up and
I mean, we're pissed. We're pissed.
Create a movement that drives millions more to the voting booth on November 3rd. We know the other side's going to cheat. We give them 2 points to start. But that's the goal. We got to race to November 3rd. That's where the battle takes place. It's a battle of ballots. Battle of ballots at 11:39 in the morning here on WNN. Tom Trento, your host. We're here to make America think again. Now, I think because I'm monitoring the legislative process. Now, in a sense, this is the beauty of our country. If what was going on right now in this country between two parties that are so divided was occurring in any whole country or any third world Latin American country, there would be civil war. There'd be fighting in the streets. There'd be all of that.
Yep.
We are a rule of law country, and as much as we hate what's going on, we follow the law, particularly Republicans. We don't have any Antifa. We don't have that. So we're monitoring the processes on the floor of the House now.
And they're going to drag this.
And well, what it is they're coming up with specific rules as to how you vote and what it means and what the procedures are that are going to be written down. probably going to take all day. I don't think there's going to be a vote today.
I think it's going to go at least till, if they keep, it's going to go till like 2 a.m. in the morning. Then the Republicans will say,
Maybe, yeah.
Trump was impeached at 2 a.m. in the morning. I think that's the goal of the Republicans.
Well, no, that's what the Republicans want. The Democrats want it to be, 5 o'clock news. They want to have the impeachment at 5 o'clock so it can be on all the evening news, lead the news when everybody's watching it. That's what the Democrats are trying to do. But I may break this letter into two because so much to discuss today and tomorrow. All right. Paragraph 2 of the 6 pages by Donald Trump, written yesterday. The articles of impeachment introduced by the House Judiciary Committee are not recognizable under any standard of constitutional theory, interpretation, or jurisprudence. That's huge. He's saying these articles, and remember, the 2 articles are that he abused his power. He smacked around the president of the Ukraine, Zelensky, to get him to go find dirt on Joe Biden, which isn't at all what occurred. And so he abused his power by pushing around a foreign president for his own personal interest. That's their accusation. And number 2, when the Judiciary Committee and the Intelligence Committee said, we need certain people to testify, we need certain documents, exercising executive privilege, the president said very nicely, screw you. I'm not giving you anything.
Nothing.
I'm not participating with your kangaroo court. And that's the tension between the tripartite government, where you have a legislative branch, a judicial branch, and an executive branch. The judicial branch is there to resolve disputes between the executive and the legislative. So Trump said, not getting it.
Take us to court.
Go to court. And they said, well, we can't go to court because the election you'll stonewall and the election will be over and you're going to win anyway. Right? So Donald Trump is saying, look, these 2 articles, I've abused my power and I've obstructed Congress. They don't meet the minimum theory of constitutional law, interpretation, or jurisprudence. But as Andy McCarthy, our good friend, has argued, it doesn't have to.
Nope.
It's totally political. They can say and do whatever they want to the detriment of the country and their own party, but that's what's going on now. Donald Trump continues. They include no crimes, no misdemeanors, and no offenses whatsoever. You've cheapened the importance of the very ugly word impeachment.
Well, I'm glad they're doing it. Like I said, it's just making the Republicans mad. I mean, every voting Republican is just really setting them off.
All right, so now he's laid the kind of a framework for his letter. Now he starts drilling in. By proceeding with your invalid impeachment, he wants to get this on the record.
Yeah,
you are violating your oaths of office. You are breaking your allegiance to the Constitution, and you are declaring open war on American democracy. They went nuts. They being the left.
Yep.
All the leftist cable stations. Is he calling for civil war? Is he calling for his troops to come out in the street? You see that, Susie Gold? You're declaring open war on American democracy.
Is that calling for open war, Susie?
That is not calling for open war.
Well, yeah.
You dare. Can you imagine him? He's very angry. He can get angry, this guy, right? You dare to invoke the founding fathers in pursuit of this election nullification scheme. That's a great word. Election nullification scheme. Somebody explain it to me.
Well, they're trying to nullify the election. I mean, to get
what
rid of
election?
The 2016.
Yeah, they're still talking about that election, 2016.
While mixing in all the corruption he's going to do in the 2020 election. It's kind of like throwing the whole sink out over there. Like, you're trying to.
They're trying to nullify the election of 2016. That's what he's saying. Yet your spiteful actions displayed unfettered contempt for America's founding, and your egregious conduct threatens to destroy that which the founders pledged their very lives to build. Even worse, you're offending the founding fathers. You're offending Americans of faith by continually saying, guess what?
They're continually saying.
Who's this written to?
This is written to Nancy.
Right? You're offending Americans of faith by continually saying, I pray for you, Mr.
God,
President.
That's right.
I pray for the president. When you know, Nancy, I stuck Nancy in there. When you know, Nancy, this statement is not true unless it is meant in a negative sense.
Right.
You're praying for my demise? Yeah, then you are praying for me. It is a terrible thing you are doing, but you will have to live with it, not I.
Calling out being a hypocrite.
You think Donald Trump wrote this?
Yes.
Absolutely. Your first claim. Now he goes in. So he gets it off his chest and he says, you people are crazy. And you know what? If George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin and John Hamilton, if these guys were sitting next to me, they would say, and I would go, hey guys, Pelosi, nutcase? Yep, yeah, let's have another beer. Yep. No, he doesn't drink, Trump.
Right.
They would say she's a nutcase, an absolute nutcase.
Give her the dunk test. You know?
Yeah, okay, dunking to you. And that other thing, what was that, where you put your arms in the stocking?
Oh yeah. Stocking. The rack or,
Yeah. Your first, the stretcher on the table. Your first claim, abuse of power, is a completely disingenuous, meritorious, baseless invention of your imagination. He puts the whole blame on her. You know that I had a totally innocent conversation with the president of Ukraine. I then had a second conversation that has been misquoted, mischaracterized, and fraudulently misrepresented. That was when Schiff talked about it. Fortunately, there's a transcript of the conversation taking, and you know, Nancy, from this transcript, which was immediately made available, that the paragraph in question was perfect. I said to President Zelensky, I would like you to do us a favor. I would like you to do us a favor. Though, because our country has been through a lot, and Ukraine knows a lot about it, I said do us, underline us a favor. Not me, not our country, and our country, not a campaign. Get with it, Nancy. I then mentioned the Attorney General of the United States. Every time I talk with a foreign leader, I put America's interests first, just as I did with President Zelensky. Woo.
Wow.
You are turning a policy disagreement between two branches of government into an impeachable offense. It is no more legitimate than the executive branch charging the members of Congress with crimes for the lawful exercise of legislative power.
Wow.
Now, Nancy's got to go have somebody translate that paragraph. What did he just say?
He says, that's like having members of Congress arrested by the FBI.
They exercise their lawful power, and the executive branch says, what are you doing? You can't do that. You shouldn't do that. And just what you said, the president goes and tries to have the FBI.
Oh, you mean like what Obama did to Trump?
Launching an investigation into nonsensical.
Unleashing the FBI and the CIA and all the powers of the federal government.
But I want to draw everybody's attention to the first few words of that paragraph. You, Nancy, now, he doesn't stick Nancy Pelosi in there because it's addressed to her. I'm putting it for context, so those of you listening, driving, getting in and out of your car, you understand what we're talking about here. You, Nancy Pelosi, are turning a policy disagreement between two branches of government. That is what the government's about. It's supposed to have tension between the branches into an impeachable offense. And ladies and gentlemen, if you get nothing else from the show today, that is the money shot. She's turning a disagreement in policy into an impeachable offense. Why? Because they can do it, because they control the House of Representatives.
It's not disagreement in policy. I disagree with Trump on this. It's not disagreement in policy. He's sugarcoating it. They hate him. They just want him gone. It has nothing to do with policy.
You know, as an aside, you read this stuff and you go, how the hell do we get into this at 47 minutes after the hour, WNN Tom Trento. I'm reading the 6-page letter, and at this rate, it'll take 6 weeks for me to get through this, but it's so good. You'll see as we go through it.
I'm glad it's set down on record. I really am.
It's got to be set down. We want part of the legacy of this show to read this letter today and tomorrow, the 2 days where the impeachment is going to take place. But you go to yourself, how do we get in this position? And if you go back to the election of 2018, where we lost the House of Representatives, all the analysts agree was primarily over the Republicans' failure on Obamacare.
Yep.
Remember that whole thing? They were never Trumpers, and they didn't want to go with the president on anything. He kept coming up with ideas. No, we're not going to do that because they hated him. The never Trump Republicans in the House of Representatives caused the people to get so upset because Obamacare was a complete failure.
Right.
When Obamacare was implemented, after a few years of Obamacare, your insurance rates went up, your coverage went down, and the number of people insured in private insurance decreased. Obamacare, like we all predicted, did the opposite of what it was supposed to do. So one of the reasons Trump got elected, I'm gonna repeal Obamacare. We're gonna come up with something good. The Republicans never came up with anything, and the Democrats pounded, Medicare for all, Medicare for all, Medicare for all, tickled the ears of a lot of people, and boom, we lose 30. It was a 70 seat shift. 73 seats shifted November of 2018. Democrats took over the House, and now he's getting impeached. Stupid Republicans in 2018 caused this.
Well, one thing good about this whole impeachment thing, the silver lining, is that they have coalesced the Republicans. I mean, I've never seen the Republicans behind a president like they have been right now.
I'll take it a step further. There's a verse in the Bible that says, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good." Look, this is their day. We'll give it to them. They're going to win today. They're going to be cheering. They're in the streets cheering already. It's going to happen. Remember those images. Remember those smells. Remember that sound. Remember those faces. Let that motivate you to work like you've never worked before, to mobilize people to vote. We got to beat them at the ballot box. That's the key. And they mean it for evil. This is an evil movement because it's based upon lies. God means it for good. And you'll see on November 3rd, a little over 300 days from today. You know full well, Nancy Pelosi, that Vice President Biden used his office and $1 billion in U.S. aid money to coerce the Ukraine into firing the prosecutor who was digging into the company, paying Joe Biden's son millions of dollars. You know that, Nancy. You know this because Biden bragged about it on video. Biden openly stated, man, Trump goes through this whole thing. I said, Biden speaking, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I looked at them and said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor is not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch.
Right.
That's what he said. And then Joe Biden said he got fired, and Joe Biden laughed. He laughed about it. I got it done. Why? Because Barack was backing me up.
And I want to stop on that Barack is backing me up thing real quick. Is Barack Obama is complicit in this whole thing? Barack approved, saw what Biden said, and said, listen, I'm backing you up. I'm backing up him for this quid pro quo thing. I mean, this goes, well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, this is good. No, it goes back. I know. Even Joe Biden, Donald Trump, continuing in his 6-page letter, and he's talking to Nancy Pelosi, even Joe Biden admitted that just days ago, last week, in an interview with NPR, National Public Radio, that it looked bad. He's admitting now, yeah, that looked bad. Now you're trying to impeach me by falsely accusing me of doing what Joe Biden has admitted that he actually did. And the left trips over themselves trying to defend Joe Biden's actions by saying, well, the international community wanted to get rid of that Ukrainian prosecutor because he was a corrupted prosecutor. Folks, it's apples for apples. It's not apples for oranges.
Yeah, but I can, I hate playing this what if game, but yeah, if Trump would have done this, oh man, this would be like 24/7 headline news.
Well, yeah, if Mike Pence's son was hooked up with the Ukraine or somebody getting millions of dollars, the left would be going nuts.
And it came, the reason I brought this point up earlier, and Donald Trump says, yeah, just go ask Donald. He'll back me up. And he does.
Boom.
Boom.
Yep.
That's impeachable right there.
Full stop.
Yep.
All right, 11:52 in the morning. Tom Trento, your host, the Trento Show here, WNN 1470. We're laying down the record. We're laying down Donald Trump's 6-page letter, which was a brilliantly written historical piece that lays out the context, lays out the argument, lays out his feelings, and he concludes this letter by saying, I want people 100 years from now to understand what a flawed house, an angry house, a hateful House of Representatives did. I never want another president going through this. I want to put this on the record. That's why today and tomorrow we're going to be laying it out on the record. He continues, Donald Trump. President Zelensky has repeatedly declared that I did nothing wrong. There was no pressure. This is the president of the Ukraine. He further emphasized that it was a good phone call. And he said, I don't feel any pressure. And he explicitly stressed that nobody pushed me. The Ukrainian foreign minister stated very clearly, I've never seen a direct link between investigations and security assistance. He also said there was no pressure. Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, I'm reading from Trump's letter, a supporter of the Ukraine who met privately with President Zelensky, said, at no time during the meeting was there any mention by Zelensky or any other Ukrainian that they felt any pressure to do anything in return for the military aid. You want to impeach the guy, you got to at least have the victim agree with your impeachment. You know, and the left is arguing, oh, wait a minute. Trump is so strong that if Zelensky goes against him, Trump will crush him. That's such a nonsensical argument. It's wide open. If Trump did anything to Zelensky, it's so wide open. And if Zelensky truly felt pressured, he should line up with the Democrats and say, that guy's a nutcase. He did this, he did that, he did this. Get him the hell out of here. We can't have him as a president. Get him out. And he would be on notice, Donald Trump, don't touch this guy.
Right.
You come out in the open if you're against somebody. The fact of the matter is the victim disagrees with the prosecutor prosecuting the defendant against the victim. Come on, where's your common sense?
It's like the cops coming up to you. Hey, Mark, we've got Trento, for the crime of stealing from you and taking your wallet. Well, he didn't take my wallet. No, but he's arresting you. We're trying him for
it sounded like he was taking your wallet. So he didn't do anything.
No, he didn't do anything.
He was actually nice.
Well, we're still going to arrest him and prosecute him and take him to jail.
That's how stupid. That's
what it is. That's as stupid as it is.
Many meetings have been held between representatives of the Ukraine and our country. Donald Trump continues. Never once did the Ukraine complain about pressure being applied. Not once! Exclamation point. Ambassador Sondland testified that I told him no quid pro quo. I want nothing. I want nothing. I want President Zelensky to do the right thing. Do what he ran on. Corruption. Get rid of corruption. The second claim, Trump continues, so-called obstruction of Congress, is preposterous and it's dangerous. House Democrats are trying to impeach the duly elected President of the United States for asserting constitutionally based privileges that have been asserted on a bipartisan basis by administrations of both political parties throughout our nation's history. Pelosi, he's saying, this is the way the government works.
Right.
Under that standard, Trump continues, every American president would have been impeached many times over. As liberal law professor Jonathan Turley warned, and I'm going to end on this, when addressing congressional Democrats just a couple of weeks ago, I can't emphasize this enough. This is Jonathan Turley. If you want to impeach a president, you make a high crime and misdemeanor out of going to the courts. It is an abuse of power.
Yes.
And I'll restate that. I can't emphasize this enough. If you impeach a president, if you make a high crime and misdemeanor out of going to the courts, he should go to the court right now. If you're making that a high crime and misdemeanor, that he's not exercising his right to go to the judiciary, it is an abuse of power, said Jonathan Turley. You're doing exactly, Trump continues, it's your abuse of power. You're doing precisely what you're criticizing the president for doing.
Exactly.
I
think Cocaine Mitch is going to get this thing thrown out in an hour or two. I'm looking at it, and he's going to.
Oh wait, let me finish this.
Okay.
If I got time.
Get a minute.
It's the last paragraph on this page. Everyone, you included, Nancy, knows that what really happened. Your chosen candidate lost the election in 2016, an electoral landslide, 306 to 227. You and your party have never recovered from this defeat. You've developed a full-fledged case of what many in the media call Trump derangement syndrome. All right, you got that in there. And sadly, you're never going to get over. You're unwilling to accept the verdict at the ballot box in 2016. You spent 3 straight years trying to overturn the will of the American people. You view democracy as your enemy. All right, tomorrow, more of the Trump letter.
Well, I do think it's going to get. No, we got another minute here, Tom. I think Cocaine Mitch is actually going to get it thrown out. I think you can get 51 votes. I think it's going to get outdone in one day. I really do. I think that's
from your lips to God's ears. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today. Wednesday the 18th. We'll be back Thursday. More of the Trump letter tomorrow. See ya.